All right, welcome back to Second Alarm Podcast with myself, Seth Teagle. And today we have Tyler Markum on. And I'm excited to have him on because if you have listened to me at all or been around me, I always talk about taking massive action to get massive results. And Tyler is doing that right now. So I wanted to have him on. He currently is the kind of owner, CEO, if you will, of Trademark Home Buyers, if I can spit that out. So thanks, man. Thanks for jumping on.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you having me.
Absolutely. So something that I want to tell people about, or that people listening, is I always talk about taking massive action. That's what I did in my first deal. I jumped right into my 50 unit, and people thought I was crazy, and it probably was a little bit of it. But Tyler, when I met him, we had talked once before, and then didn't really talk much after that, and then we kind of got reconnected again through a mutual friend, and he is the epitome of taking massive action right now. Because I guess I don't want to steal your thunder. Tell everybody what you're doing and what that's like for you right now.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I mean, it's kind of funny to hear because if you know me, like I only have two gears and one is asleep and then the other one is just going after whatever's in front of me. So I've been a single family home operator just long enough, flipped about 300 houses that I no longer am interested in trophies. And so for me, if you flipped homes, that will resonate more with you because sometimes you get a trophy for participation, but not really to stack the blocks financially or grow financially. So I've been kind of mentally for about 6 months. I should be transparent with you, Seth. I haven't taken massive action in what I wanted to do for a while, but after I make a decision, which was in November, that I made a decision to transition from single family real estate investing into the commercial space. I just literally started shutting everything down completely intentionally. So that's what I've been doing, focusing on shutting down a lot of our single family marketing streams, shutting down even phone systems, all the software and gadgets and widgets and all the shiny things that it takes to run a single family house flip business. We have shut all that down and we have been submitting LOIs on large multifamily complexes to give you the kind of the short version.
Well, first of all, I wouldn't say that you've not been taking massive action, because to just get to the point where you're willing to shut down a successful house flipping company that is cash flowing, right? I assume you're cash flowing. So
Yeah.
you have a successful business, you have staff, you have all those things. Just to make the decision to do it, even though you may have taken longer, it's not something that you're going to wind down overnight, number one. And then two, like, I don't necessarily know that you should wind it down overnight, right? I mean, you have to exit it correctly, like a planned landing, if you will. And so I think I think it's smart to take some time to think of those things and figure out how are you going to do it. Because if you just shut it down, like if the idea popped in your head on a Monday and by Friday you would shut everything down, like that wouldn't be really smart, right? You still have to be able to live and pay
Right.
for people and do those everything. So I think that, you may not have bought something in the time that you said you're going to do it, but you're actively winding that down. You're actively pursuing. I mean, how many times are you coming to Columbus right now? Columbus, Ohio. You're like, I feel like you're here twice a week.
Yeah, we were there twice last week. Our goal is at least once a week. So it's R&D for us at this point. We want to focus primarily in that market. So we've been coming to have meetings with people that matter as much as we can, and try and go ahead and start digging and building roots and fruitful connections in the commercial space. So yeah, we're up there at least once a week, but yeah, it was twice last week. So I always love a trip to Columbus. Don't tempt me with a good time.
Well, it's the hotbed of amazingness here in the Midwest. Or if you, I don't know, what are we, Midwest? Kind of
Yeah,
Eastern Midwest, if you will.
yeah,
Some people say Midwest. I would have not, where I grew up in North Dakota, we would not have considered this Midwest, but
yeah,
it is what it is. So
yeah,
what is it? So like, how did you decide to go? I mean, well, maybe we back up a little bit. Like, how did you
yeah.
even start Trademark Homes? Like, how did you get into,
Hmm.
because I mean, what you've built is nothing short of, pretty awesome as it is, right? There's very
Yeah.
few people that can flip houses or flip that many houses in their career. Now, I don't know how many you have going at any one time. I don't know how many years you've been doing it, but to get to 300 homes, I mean, that's a pretty crazy number. I mean, I only know probably a handful, maybe two, of people that have scaled to that size. You
Yeah.
know, like, what did that journey look like before we get into multifamily and what you're doing for that? Like, how did you go from Tyler Markham, like the regular guy, to, I flipped my first house to build what you've built?
Yeah, well, that's a great question. So I've answered this a few times, and I think that it's always funny to kind of go back and retell the story. Hindsight's always 2020, but we started full time in real estate in 2015. So just a little fun fact about me: I have never worked for someone else. Never had a W-2 job for someone else. I am really unemployable, I think is a good way to put that. But going back to prior to real estate, I was actually, I'll give you a ton of fun facts on this episode. I used to tour in a band, and I still play drums today, but I used to tour in a band, and I was actually set to go to college at Belmont University in Nashville after I graduated high school, and got an opportunity to go on tour with the band. I tried out to be their drummer, and to kind of give you a long story short, I did that for a good while, played like 180 shows with them all over the country and had a really good time. But there was two things that I realized in that journey as an 19-year-old that I needed in life that I was not getting in that industry, which was sleep and money. I was not getting either of those. So, it was a ton of fun, and I definitely needed to have that season in my life. I still love music today. I think it's, something that God's gifted me with, just to be able to give back. So I love music today, but transitioning out of being on the road, my mother is a court reporter, and there's a point to all this. And she said, you should watch what videographers do in a deposition setting. You know a lot about audio and video with what you've done. And when I heard that they made $40 to $75 an hour, I was like, okay, I will do this. So kind of long story short, I grew a legal video deposition business. I was in the video world for about 7 years and grew that to a team of 7 or 8 videographers. And we covered the entire state of West Virginia, and we did a little bit of Southeastern Ohio. And really good run. I was making really good money, but it just was not my thing. I kind of rode the coattail of my mother's business to build mine, and it just was not my thing. So I was always handy. I worked construction when I was off the road with the band. I would work construction, and I learned a lot, and was kind of raised by my grandpa on the farm, and I was just handy. So the idea of how to get into real estate for me was just that idea that you could potentially make a lot of money in one transaction. And I knew a lot about fixing up a house, or the handy side. Didn't know what a deed was, a mortgage, any of that. I would figure that out. But we decided after 7 years with legal video that we were going to go full-time into real estate. And just like I typically do with everything, I lasted 3 months having the legal video business and the real estate business, and had both, made some really good money in real estate. And we just said, forget it, we're doing this. And we went full-time March of 2015. So we've done, a little over 300 flips. And the thing that I would say that is a little unique for us than any other house flippers, we're actually in one of the smallest markets in the country, in Charleston, West Virginia. We had a pretty big geographic radius with our flips, but I'm really proud of what we did in the market we did it in. So, I hear a lot of guys talk about competition and all these things in bigger markets. And while we didn't have as much competition, we also most certainly did not have as much opportunity. We did not have as much, good workforce. We did not have just as much of anything. So we worked hard. That's what led me to here. Through that journey, I have had teams upwards of 15, 20 people that work for me full time. I've had a COO, multiple project managers, acquisitions reps, lead intakes, in-house marketing directors. Now I've got a personal assistant. We've kind of run that race, and I'm proud of what we've done, but it's kind of led me to a place where I finally feel like I have clarity on where I need to go as a professional, and who I need at this season that I'm in.
Mm-hmm. What do you think? So if you're doing all these flips and obviously, I know that not every flip works out the way you thought it would. Not every flip, you make money on. That was why I got into multifamily when I jumped into real estate, was because I saw that through a guy that I was working with. But I don't know, you've had a lot of people working for you. You've built a pretty big team over time. Do you think that, I guess, what at what point did you, or why did you want to switch? Because if you're successfully flipping and you've got a lot of people that are working for you, and you have from the outside looking in, would be a very successful company. People could think that you're nuts. Right. You're just you have a very successful business. Things are going great. I've talked to a lot of people that always talk about multifamily or talk about commercial or making that next step, but they never actually do it because to walk away from this other thing that they have, their niche, right? I mean, you've dialed it
Yeah.
in and gotten it to be pretty great to be, to be successful and have that many. Like it's almost comfortable, right? I mean, like it's what it's your bread and butter. You could evaluate a house, put the thing together, flip it, do your thing, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Like, why do you think? Like, what inside you, or what did you see, or what did you read, or who were you around that changed your mindset to where you thought, man, I should let go of all of this because
Yeah.
it's different if you only have like one house, right? Or you flipped a couple and then you're like, I want to go bigger.
Yeah.
Like for you to let this whole entire thing go that you've built for 5 or 6 years, 7 years, and jump into something new. Like I don't feel like most people that I talk to are willing to do that, or they say they are, but then they never really take the next step. Like, why is it different for you?
Yeah, no, it's a really good question. And I think the question that I could answer that hopefully would be freeing to someone who's about to take this journey of house flips is I've paid hundreds of thousands of dollars in coaching and been part of some really great masterminds. I've been able to rub shoulders with people that are, exponentially smarter than me and have monstrous businesses. But I think the thing that I could tell you I took away from this journey is that I was constantly chasing whatever each mastermind said we needed to have. One year it was you needed a COO and you needed a wingman. And then one year it was you needed this and just scale, 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 chase growth, chase growth. And I really did that. And what it got me was, tons of payroll. We would have to sell 5, 6 houses a month to keep the lights on. We weren't making any money on top of, if we didn't sell 5 or 6 houses. So we were very, very vulnerable. We were in a very volatile space, as we've seen here in the latter part of 22 and now 23. If rates take a dip and the market takes a dip, we go down with it. And, so I'll tell you, I just through that process, what I felt like was I continued to serve my team harder than I ever served myself. And after looking back, and what do I mean? I look back and we generated a lot of money. We cycled a lot of money. We made a lot of money for our private money lenders. We created opportunities for our employees. We bought a ton of houses and made our communities better. All that is good. All that is good. But I didn't win. Like I didn't
Mhm.
personally win. And I have to finally, I'm at a place in my life and in my faith and my career and with my family that I have to pay attention to what matters to me and serve myself for the first time ever. And so I just finally looked at the journey that we had been on. And, one of my coaches said something that resonated so much. And this will answer your question, Seth. Why change? Well, because I realized I had climbed the ladder. I had done it. I'd, successfully, albeit pretty successfully, climbed the entrepreneurial ladder, build a team, build a business so you can live on the beach and do nothing. Yeah, we did that. The ladder was on the wrong wall, though. And I learned that as I got up the ladder, I was not stacking blocks and stacking the blocks of success. I was just cycling them. And it just got exhausting to me. It just got exhausting. We weren't keeping any of the assets. We were selling them. We were putting tons of money, back into the communities, but there wasn't a lot to show for it after that. I mean, there just wasn't. So I have just seen some folks that I really immensely respect come out of the single family space and go into the commercial space. And even folks that I know that haven't been in single family that have gone straight into commercial. And I've watched the journey and I've watched them pretty closely. And they seem to go after the things that I really wanted in my life. And they actually seem to get them. And so that space, intrigued me. It terrified me as well. But it intrigued me. And, I think for most of you watching this, it's going to take you a minute to get scared enough, mad enough, or just fed up enough to take action. And that's where I was at. It took flipping 300 houses and cycling tons of employees and just gut wrenching effort. It took that for me to say, hey, it's been really good, but I'm ready to stack the blocks. I don't want to sell them anymore.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's something that's interesting to me that, well, I guess I don't know if interesting is the right way to say that, but like most people would go, okay, I'm a house flipper and then they stay in their comfort zone of, I'm just going to buy and hold now single family homes. A lot of them don't make the jump to commercial, but I think that you being around and in the right rooms with some of these other folks that are doing commercial, do you think that like when you're saying like did you saw them kind of achieve some things that you wanted, are the majority of the people that are achieving the things you want or stacking the blocks the way you think that they should be stacked, or doing that, like are they in commercial real estate? Is that what they're doing?
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, the thing that strengthened my decision to pull from single family, there's a ton of factors that went into that for me. And to kind of give you the short version of a few of those is that we were starting to let people go when we were trailing down our business here in Charleston, West Virginia. We were doing that by intention, and we were scaling up in Columbus. And, our staff just got to the point where, we didn't have very many people in the West Virginia market. So we stopped marketing there and we went all in Columbus and, surrounding areas. And I will never forget, I had a call with one of my friends who I immensely respect, who has a huge wholesaling business in a major metropolis market in the country. And they operate in excellence. They are incredible business owners. And we had a call about 6 months ago. He's someone I look up to a bunch. And, he told me, hey, he's back in the trenches. He's making cold calls with his team. He's in there running sales meetings. He's going on appointments. He's doing all this stuff. And I thought, you have one of the top probably 2% of the businesses in the country that are single family house flippers. He's a wholesaler doing over 200 deals a year. And you're back at square one again. Like you're back in the trenches again. Now, do I think there's any business that's completely averse to that ever happening? No. But the fact that a business that was so robust as his was built and it couldn't withstand a market shift, it was all I needed to see. It was just all I needed to see. I didn't want to climb that ladder anymore. I didn't. It was terrifying to me that, to hear that that's where he was at. And I don't, know if he felt the depth of that, but I mean, guy just built a custom home, has a great family, great business, but to have to hear that that's where he was back at was just scary to me. And I don't see really good operators in the commercial space, the ones that I trust and the ones that I respect. I haven't seen that from them.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, it's an interesting take. And I think that's for me, like, it was why, and I don't know that you felt like it, but when I was managing somebody else's stuff and I was working on their flips, I didn't, I think maybe I was a part of 7 or 8 in my whole prior to buying something career, but it was enough for me to realize that it was a job, and that like the struggle that guy had, even at the scale that he was doing, he was nowhere near 300 units a year or 300 units total. But even for him trying to go from like 3 a month to 5 a month, it was a job for him. And he always wanted to be passive or less involved, but he never could find the right people. And so as soon as if he thought he had the right team, he'd have the right team for like 4 to 6 months, and then that person would leave or somebody else would leave. And he always had to jump back in. And I witnessed that. And I'm like, man, at the time I was going to stay being a fireman and just do this on the side. But that was like the turning point for me, where I'm like, kind of like what you're saying is like, how do if he's struggling at this point, and this is not what I want, like I didn't want another job, then what do I have to do to be able to achieve true like financial freedom, time freedom, whatever? And that was to go bigger. And I think that's kind of it sounds like what you're realizing or what you have realized. And, I think it's amazing, man. I think it's great and that's why I wanted to bring you on and talk, because I would say it's like a breath of fresh air for me, because in the last 6 to 8 months, maybe even a year, I don't know anybody taking the action that you've taken. I don't know anybody that has, like me, recognized what they want and then just gone after it like on all cylinders. And it's awesome, and I know that's how I know you're going to be successful in it. You'll get a deal, whether it's with us, whether it's in Columbus without us. I mean, that's the thing, is that even like us connecting is great, because as you find something in Columbus, you already have a network of people to reach out to talk to. That's like, hey, what do I do here? How does this look? Or, whatever. And that's something I think is super important that I want to talk about, is the impact that the people that you said that you saw, or like your mentors. Like I know you kind of mentioned it, and you've spent a ton of money on mentorship programs, on coaching, on whatever. Like, how do you think that those, like, do you think that it was worth it? Right. Because I know when I got started, that was always a struggle for me, was like, I see some guy super successful. I call him up and he wants 10 grand to to be my mentor. And I'm like, dude, if I had 10 grand, I wouldn't give it to you. I'd go put it into real estate, or whatever. And it was such a big chunk of money in the
Yeah.
very beginning. But
Yeah.
how do you think that mentors and getting in the right rooms, again, you were inspired by the people that you saw. Well, you saw them because you were in the right rooms with them,
Yeah.
or you met them in those rooms. Like, how has that impacted your decision to go multifamily, or, just even your growth overall?
Yeah, I mean, I will say this because I should have clarified when I said I've spent hundreds of thousands in coaching, but I've made millions from it. So I remember, Seth, the first time I ever went to a mastermind group. I didn't even know that was a word, by the way.
Yeah.
Didn't even know what that was. Went to a mastermind event in Florida, and we got in a room with entrepreneurs. We started doing what they call hot seats, and we were presenting about what we were good at and what we were bad at. And we were like, my wife and I were like fifth in line to present. I think I pretty much had a full blown panic attack because I didn't feel like I was in the same hemisphere with these people. Like the stuff they were talking about, the words they were using, I had no idea what any of that was. And, I left that whole event, like we struggled through it. And of course, people were like, oh, you're so great. And it was, almost hilarious to me. But what I felt was this overwhelmedness, if that's a word, that I needed. Like I needed something that could show me a much higher ceiling than what my brain was currently functioning at. And so for me, masterminds have been invaluable because I don't regret a dime of the money I've spent because, just to give you an example, out of one of the masterminds I was in, I was in that group multiple years and I met some great people out of that mastermind, but 3 now that I have invested with in multifamily deals that I've watched go into multifamily from single family who are incredible operators. One of those being Stephen Libman. And, we've talked about Stephen
Mm-hmm.
together. I met Steve years ago in a mastermind in single family and watched him and his business partner, Travis, transition and just kind of studied what they were doing. And that's what intrigued me, frustrated me, to be honest. I saw all these accolades and all these things they were doing and just this huge stuff. And it kind of frustrated me of like, gosh, these guys are like too good for school now. And it was just really because they were making better decisions. I mean, that was just it. They were making better decisions. And I met them, in these masterminds, and we've made tons of money together. Tons. I would not be in the deals that I'm in with them. I would not if I didn't go and rub shoulders with people. So to me, you literally don't know what you don't know. And to be an entrepreneur, I think that college for you is masterminds. And that's just my opinion. They are immensely valuable.
Yeah, we talked about before we started recording that, like for me, I've sat down before, and we're going to do a live event in April here in Columbus, and I plan on doing it there for everybody to see. But I could like leave a trail of breadcrumbs, right? I could lay the path out that I took from a nobody, fireman riding the back of a truck or in a medic to where we're at today, and like how that got there, and how the relationships that I've come in contact with people have like accelerated or exploded the growth, or it's gotten me to this next phase in the career. And
Yeah.
I never would have gotten some of those people ever throughout networking, whether that's on social media, whether that's at masterminds, or whether it's like local. But I think that masterminds are a great opportunity for you to get out of your own head, but also get out of your circle, right? If you just stayed in Charleston, West Virginia, and never went to any of these events and saw any of these things, your level of thinking would have been limited to just what you were doing on a local level, or what other people in your local hemisphere were doing. And going to that event you went to in Florida not only exposed you to the people that you met, that you've stayed in contact with, but tons and tons of other people that, like, for you being your first time going into that room, like you said, you're just like, holy crap. Like, I don't even feel I shouldn't even say anything because all these people are doing all this other cool stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's
I think I
really
texted my
interesting.
wife and said, like, literally, like, we are idiots. Like, we are literally dumb. Like,
We should
what
have
are
done
we
this 10
doing
years
here?
ago. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think she said the same thing. And we are so dumb. Like, we don't even, think like these people. But I mean, that to me is what levels you up. You always hear that statement, Seth. People say all the time, your network is your net worth. Okay. Well, let me challenge you on that. Who's in your network? Like, who
Yeah.
are they broke? Are they your broke buddies? Are they your broke parents? Like, who's in your network? Because I believe when you go to masterminds and you commit to take a financial, make a financial commitment in yourself, which is what you're doing, you're committing to rub shoulders with people who've made that same commitment, who have, genius ideas. I literally just plagiarize everything that we find in masterminds. That's how we've built our business. We plagiarize everything that people do well, everything. That's how we've done it.
Well, but you're paying. I mean, you're paying for the fast pass, right?
Yeah.
You can figure it out on your own and keep the money, or you can pay the money and get to the front of the line faster and get on the ride quicker. And because you did that, you're able to get on the next ride quicker, and the next ride, and the next ride,
Yep.
and in 5 years, you're 10 times farther along than you would be. And that's exactly how we've grown. It's how
Yep.
you went from flipping no houses to 300 houses,
Yep.
and now you have the means, you have the not only the means, but like you said, through your process, you met a bunch of private money lenders. Like you have the resources, you have the connections to where you can now jump into something bigger.
Yep.
And not just do a 50 unit. You might be able to team up and do a 100 unit or a 500 unit or whatever. Like some of the other deals I know you've been a part of, you got to GP on some deals that are pretty massive, simply because of the network that you had and then what you could bring to that deal, right? You may not have been able to bring experience, but through your life experience, you had the connections to bring capital and were able to do some of those deals. So, it's interesting because the same feelings I feel like you had going to your first event is the same thing that a lot of people feel when they just go to their first local RIA meetup.
Yeah.
Right? When I knew nobody and I knew nothing, and I met one, and I knew my college roommates was like, "Hey, you need to go to a real estate meetup." Like Googling and finding where the meetup was, driving to it, sitting in the parking lot was terrifying.
Yep.
Like terrifying to go in and be like, I just sit in the back corner. Nobody talked to me. I wasn't super social because I just didn't know what to do. And you're a fish out of water. But if you push through that, like you did at that first event in Florida, like I think I saw a quote recently where it was like, fear is what like blinds you to the other side of like greatness or something along those lines, where if you listen to the fear and I would have stayed in the car and I wouldn't have gone in, I never would have known what life could be like several years later, or for same thing for you. If you wouldn't have went to that and realized that you're thinking way too small, you never would have met these people that have helped accelerate your mindset.
Well, and I mean, the thing that I think is worth mentioning is that I've gotten better at exercising the muscle of being uncomfortable and being comfortable with that. And guess what? Getting into the multifamily space, getting into the commercial space, I'm starting back over on the circle. And that circle of like, don't really know what I'm doing, massively scared, but I'm still going to take some action and go one click at a time around the circle. And, I've become a master of single family homes. Well, guess where I'm at on the circle of commercial? Terrified. Right at the top. And so, yes, I know how to take action. But what I've learned through taking that other action and what it's given me is I have been able to see the value of pushing through and not knowing, like just pushing through on principle. So I know if I take enough action in commercial and take enough action learning what, the multifamily space looks like and how to be a good operator, I will get farther around the circle like I am in single family. So I get, it's just, you think that you only have to do that once, but really you're teaching yourself how to get uncomfortable and be comfortable with that. And I'm doing that again. Like I'm literally back at the beginning.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. And you're 100% right. Like I feel like it's, you just keep pushing. Like, my wife is always kind of like, she's different where, if a door shuts on her, it's like she takes it personal, or like, I don't know how you keep doing it. And like, I'm like you, where I just keep pushing. Like when I recognize where I was at in life and where I wanted to be in life, and somebody showed me a path to get there, I was like a bulldozer, man. I was just not stopping, pushing. And if, hey, if we meet and it doesn't work out, boom, like, no offense, you're out of the way. I'm going to keep on moving forward and I will succeed. I will get this deal done. I will achieve these things that I want in that. And I see a lot of that with you and how you've just conducted yourself, even the little time that we've known each other, and being in Columbus and not afraid to approach certain brokers, not afraid to schedule lunches, not afraid to be bugging them. And that's what it takes. I mean, that's exactly what I did. That's exactly the drive that you got to have if you want to go big, if you want to get into these things and you want to do it quicker, you can do it slow. And in 5 years from now, you'll have a 50 unit, or like you said, you just push until you can get something on your own, or you get in the same room with people that are, the time it takes for you go, like you said, from that fear area that you're at to comfort level, you shorten that up a whole lot by doing what you're doing.
Well, and everybody says the experience is the best teacher, and the real answer is as long as it's not yours. Like, yeah, you've
Yeah.
got to experience some of it on your own. Don't go think you can short circuit it all, but it's so valuable. Like, I could just tell really early with Seth that Seth's a real operator. Seth isn't a guru. Seth is a guru. Seth actually works at this. And so, how much value that is to come in and like work with someone who's actually been in those trenches, who doesn't just talk about those trenches like they know what they're like, they've been in them. And you can tell. I mean, the longer you're in the space, you can tell in any space, really. When you get your head about you of what you're looking for, you can tell the gurus from the gurus. You can tell they just have not been in that seat or in those trenches. They haven't felt the feet on their own fire, or the fire on their own feet about, the issue that at hand usually. And yeah, I could just tell that with you. I could tell that you, you may say some of that's in error that you do it the way you do, but I don't think it is. I think there's a real respect to be had of having your finger on the pulse of your business. Like I'm going to be really slow to hire another COO. I don't need one of those for a very long time.
Yeah. And that's it. I mean, I think like you just kind of, well, first of all, thank you. I mean, that's something
Sure.
that,
I want free coaching now.
I'm definitely definitely don't want to be a guru. And I'm, to my detriment could be, I've never heard that term guru. That's pretty good. I like that. But,
I think that was a Max Maxwell, so I can't take
yeah,
that,
well,
but I liked it too.
I like it. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. And those are the people that you want to look for, right? I mean, because if you're a quote unquote guru and you're leaning on other people's experiences or your staff's, experiences or whatever, like I feel like over time, like you can pull there's a lot of them out there right now that can pull a really good crowd, but at some point the turnover for those folks is high within like a mastermind or an event, because people realize that they're not really like, there's really not a lot of substance, right? There's a lot of flash, a lot of smoke, a lot of mirrors, looks great. We go do all these cool events, but I would rather not do any cool events, right? I'd rather save my money and just sit around a table and leave that weekend event or whatever you do and like
Yeah.
walk away with real action steps that are going to affect my life, affect my business. And that's
Yep.
kind of how we run things. And that's more my jam. That's more my speed. But
Yeah.
so that said, like, what's the future look like for you in Columbus? What is the next like 3 things that you've got on the agenda for you as you're looking at, because you're not just like shutting this thing down, like you're moving your whole family here. Like
Yeah.
that's why I love it, man. You're all in. And there's to me, it's like it gets me fired up because I
Yeah.
love seeing that, because that's how I am, right?
Yep.
To my detriment, I never stop. And
Yeah.
I overwhelm a lot of people because I just never stop. But that's what it takes, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yes, there's a balance, and I'm trying to, I'm working through that. Like I said earlier, I've actually hired a personal coach for myself, and that's been really, really good. And he talks about the difference between balance and rhythm, because we all like chase balance. And Seth, this may be for you, but what he believes, and I now believe as well, is that balance doesn't exist. Rhythm does. Rhythm in your life exists, which can make you feel like you have balance, because everyone's probably coming into this new year and you've got all your goals and you're super hyped up about them and you're just going to crush them. And one of them is to be more balanced. Well, it doesn't exist. We're all dads and moms and have jobs and responsibilities, and it just doesn't, balance isn't a thing, but rhythm is. And when we create habits, and, I could go down a road of just what habits can do for you, both good and bad. It can cause rhythm, both good and bad in your life. But for me, Seth, kind of what's next? Personally, yeah, we're trying to navigate whether we're moving or we're not, or what. Our eyes are very open to the idea, if we continue to grow our business there, that you can grow a business a lot faster in your backyard than you can at a distance. And I'm no stranger to traveling, but it's not a lot of fun to travel that much and have kids and a wife and, responsibilities. So
Yeah.
potential move. Professional goals, though, I've got 2 companies. Basically, we are essentially exiting the single family house flip business, and I'm really excited about our multifamily commercial business, which is going to be Trademark Holdings Group. I've operated my rentals, all my single family stuff under Trademark Holdings for years here in West Virginia, but we have launched Trademark Holdings Group, and we're kind of building the websites and branding and all that now. So that will be our push for multi. And, specifically, I'm chasing cash flow, but I've got an appetite and I've got a number on my sheet here for my 2023 goals. And it is 500 doors this year is what we're going after. So 500 doors is what I want to go after. And I'm not super hung up on that. Like I said, I'm hung up on cash flow and how it affects and, moves the needle forward for me. But that's a number. We'd like to close at least 3 deals this year. And I'd love that to be in the Columbus market or in the, major metropolis areas around Columbus. Success for me in 2023, I've got this written down. Success for me looks like successful relationships with legal, CPAs, property management, asset management, construction, and partners. And partners should not be last because it really should be first. The only way I'll have success in all that is to partner with people that are already really good at this. So success for us looks like having great partnerships and great, working relationships with everyone that it takes to make the thing move. And then I want to raise another 10 million this year in private money. So I want to raise 10 million this year in private money. I'd love for that to be too low, but that is my minimum. And then I've got another company that I'm starting, and I'll quickly tell you about that. We are, these are going to be kind of like my two workhorses, but I'm an outdoorsman. So what I do outside of real estate, I'm going to kind of marry with real estate. I am a bow hunter and a land manager and love to hunt in Ohio. So that's another reason we love Ohio. But I'm going to start a land sales company. So we're going to specialize in selling rural tracts of land, farm ground, unimproved vacant land. But we're going to start flipping some farms. So that company is Legacy Acres Land Company, and that hasn't actually come out public yet. So you guys get to hear it first. Legacy Acres is something I'm excited about, and we want to flip 10 properties this year. So,
wow.
Just to sound silly for a second, I am tired of buying deer corn and not being able to write it off. So if you,
right.
if you guys want to talk to me about how to make everything in your life expensible, just think harder about how you do it. And, I'm just excited. I love being in the outdoors. So the idea of being able to make money, being out in God's creation and helping, maybe it's you watching this, find your dream farm, is exciting. So I am going to answer that call this year and do some land flips.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, we're just getting into land stuff now, so we're developing it. But I mean, still, it's been an interesting process talking with some different farm lenders that how they evaluate land and looking at all that stuff, and very interesting. So
and I mean, I would definitely do development, but we're going to kind of focus on the properties that are where you go to get away for the weekend or where you go and create lasting memories. So if you want to connect on that, especially you, Seth, if you want to go kill some stuff and draw blood, hit me up. Let's do it.
I've always going with the pro is always better than me going alone, right? Because I'm again time conscious, baby. I want to show up and you just point me in the direction, tell me to get in that tree stand over there, and it's going to walk over this way, and I'm shooting. But just to wander around the woods by myself for a few hours, hoping that I run into something, or I sit by a tree and like my dad used to. That's what has always been my struggle with hunting is that you get out there and then I'm just like, the whole world goes so slow when I'm out there that I'm just not used to sitting there like that. I'm like this, I can't do it. I'm not, but knowing you go out with somebody that actually knows what they're doing is probably best.
Yeah, I've learned a ton just from watching others. And but I'm the same way, Seth. It's funny. I'm like the most impatient person in the world. Literally anyone who knows me knows that. But for whatever reason with hunting, if I can kind of stack my odds and calculate, I really get into it, wind direction, barometric pressure, where the deer are moving, why. And if I stack enough of the factors in my favor, I'll be patient. I really will. But if I don't have those stacked or it's not the right wind, I won't hunt a stand. I just won't go. So I kind of have learned, developed patience through the chess match, if you will. And I think that's probably another reason I love hunting so much.
That's definitely better than anything that I've ever been a part of. So,
well, I'll take you and we'll write the whole thing off.
We may have to do it. Absolutely. That could be the next event we do together with people is we come up and we take them deer hunting or whatnot. So,
well, we're going to focus in the southeastern, kind of between the river and Columbus. So that's where I'll focus for most of our land sales this year.
Awesome. That's a whole other episode of discussion on land and land sales. But cool. Well, I appreciate your time. Hopefully everybody got something out of this. You know, I
Yeah.
think the big takeaway is taking massive action. It may cost you some money up front by doing masterminds, but like Tyler said, you know, he spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on training and masterminding and getting in the right rooms, but he's made millions from it. So something that we all have to continually evaluate is not looking at those kinds of things as an expense, but as an investment in ourselves, but making sure that we're in the right room, right? With the right person, not the guru, but the guru, as Tyler said. We want to make sure we're with the person that actually knows what's going on. So, all right, man. I appreciate
Yes,
it.
sir.
Thanks for jumping on, and I will talk to you next time.
Thank you. See ya.